Hello, beautiful souls out there, and welcome for the next resume of the SOL Academy Lounge. This time, a summary from the April 29th, 2025. And we want to jump immediately to this amazing topic where we announced Ahriman is released. What does it mean? Ahriman is free again? What happened? Yes, the way is free. Why the way is free? Because we passed the eye of the needle. We are through. It's done. The way is completely free, especially now in this month of May that makes everything new, but new not on the way as so far we have done it. The completely new way, that way is free now. But before we go into that, we need to remind ourselves how the matrix is built. Some years ago, we resumed it in this way of visualizing these different qualities of energies or domes where we live in. So somehow to remind, this is the Ur-matrix, the original, whereof all our 7 dimensions and above, so as well our 7 chakras from the human being, are fully functional, fully working. We are completely aware, we are fully conscious about ourselves, we are fully aware, 86,400 seconds in a day, all is given, all is divine. Now within that, what came was the Luciferic matrix, the dual life experience, the second matrix that allows to experience ourselves in this matter world on a way of a mirroring, so that allows us to see in the outer world, in the out there that doesn't exist, what is within us. And within this dualistic matrix, this artificial, we could say, light matrix, was then, I have to say, was this third matrix was the Satanic Matrix that also have, I show it on the timeline below on the right side, had a different way of rhythm, a lower vibration, degenerated form of the Luciferic, and that Satanic Matrix has started not only to have cracks but crashed down. Must have been somewhere in July, 5th, 6th July 2022, and since then came up and was built this virtual digital matrix that is a new, you could say, invitation to a biology submitted matrix, where just the lower vibrations anymore are working. And since then, what is possible, the ways are free. They are free or to choose to into this invitation, let's call it invitation of the AI matrix, or going up to the recognition of the dualistic, or even to full awareness, to remembering about what you are, what I am, that we are all soul beings, divine beings. Bear that in mind when we go over to the main chapter now. As we said, Ahriman is released, and that what comes up is inspired by Pierre Le Trognon and Langemann Media. And what has been done, and we did it ourselves as well, we asked ChatGPT this question: if you were, so ChatGPT, the artificial intelligence nowadays available for everyone, if you were the devil, how would you destroy the minds of the next human generation? We asked the AI, and I invite you to do so by yourself as well. And the answer was so amazing. It was like this, up front first: framed hypothetically, if a malevolent force like the devil were trying to destroy the minds of the next generation, it wouldn't come with horns and fire. It would likely use subtle, attractive, and systemic methods. Here's how that might look. And so what came up, I will go fast here. You can stop the video if you want to go in detail, or even better, ask ChatGPT yourself. We made these tests even in other languages, English, German, then even with one member of the Academy in Chinese. So the result is upfront once again and again and again, the same, just represented with other words. So topic number 1, what it would do is erode critical thinking. It would encourage passive consumptions over active thoughts, flood the information space with noise, with disinformation, outrage, bait, conspiracy theories, and addictive content that replace real learning and discernment. And second, it would weaponize technology, make people addicted to devices, especially starting with young people, push algorithms that reward short attention spans, comparison, self-doubt, and polarization, blur the line between real life and digital identity. It would undermine purpose and identity, promote the idea that life has no inherent meaning or value beyond external validation or material success. It would encourage isolation, perception of this alone, under the guise of hyperconnectivity. How many people nowadays have thousands of friends on Facebook, but once there is a blackout, where are those friends? Now, those followers. It would erode family structures and meaningful traditions without offering viable alternatives. And four, it would overstimulate and then numb, saturate children with stimuli, constant entertainment, fear, pressure to succeed, and hypersexualized media, pornography, until their natural emotional responses are dulled. Normalize mental illness instead of treating root causes. And fifth, devalue truth and morality. Relativize truth until people no longer trust any authority or moral compass, even their own, and make virtue seems boring or oppressive while celebrating cynicism and nihilism. This kind of strategy wouldn't attack with force, as said in the entrance. It would seduce, distract, and slowly reshape people's internal landscape. One click, one dopamine hit, one loss of meaning at the time. And when you look at these 5 points and you look back in your life, when you look historically back to the life of your parents, haven't we had that already? Isn't that what you just are on your way, on your ascension, on your remembering coming out of that? Yes. But it's moving in that moment elsewhere. Welcome at AI. And the funny part maybe was that it suggested then to me, even with a question, would you like a version of this tailored to a specific age group or cultural context? Well, no, the general opinion or the general visibility is enough for me. But we, in order to understand this, we are highly invited to go a bit deeper. How does a tool, ChatGPT, come to such summaries, to such an answer? Now, for this, what we need to do is maybe having a look again to the goal, to the aim of the human being. Our goal was from an initial cerebral thinking to a living thinking, what I often call not thinking about, but thinking through, in coming into words, in concepts. Nowadays, like here, we work with pictures, with written words, with letters, so quite limiting in a way. And then from clairvoyance without thinking, going back to the intellectual thinking without clairvoyance, and finally coming back what we are living now, coming back to living thinking and clairvoyance. All that, it's the triumph of the spirit over matter in freedom and in love. Such like a fall, forgetting ourselves and coming back into this living thinking and clairvoyance, what in other words means coming to a free spirit mankind, to free spirit people. On the other hand, we have Ahriman's goals. He has the right to have some goals as well. For him, it's, of course, starting from brain thinking, so physical thinking, to conquer the whole human being on the blood, on respiration even, from mental thinking to perfect mechanical thinking. Look at, think at, not through. Having the aim to eliminate the spirit through matter. Everything is just matter. Ahriman is the king, we could say, of matter, in eternal necessity of the laws of nature, finally to have an adjective of robot humans. Well, and when we look at the evolution of the humans, in the eons of his development, the human being, man, has set out of himself first the mineral kingdom, then the plant kingdom, then the animal kingdom, to become a human being, a Homo sapiens, the wise earthling, the man continues to evolve. Today, anyone can do what only Aristotle could do about 2,300 years ago, and what man has mastered today, he puts back out of himself and puts it into machine and develops himself further. Such as, for example, when we look here where human should develop to, so as we said before, from seeing to imagining, from seeing to imagination. But what he does is this. He functions like this. Not really a lot of thinking through, just looking at. And on the other hand, he should not only see and imagine, he should change, as we mentioned before, from thinking at to a living thinking, to thinking through. And what we are doing? Well, that's how we are actually, or many yet, are working or functioning. Now, all that why, when we look at it, yes, we delegated to machine, but I think we were maybe a bit lazy. And laziness, so a kind of convenience, is a characteristic of contemporary man. It is the basic nerve of our current worldview in all areas that we seek comfort. Comfort, as generally spoken, is not bad, but staying within that becomes laziness. So the consequence of laziness then would be that after death one becomes a servant of Ahriman. How long, I do not know. Well, that's as well a kind of choice, consciously or unconsciously, of an experience. Now, to go a bit deeper on that aspect, I take an example as a benchmark. This here is a watch. It's a watch. And when we look at this watch, does it show the time? Definitely yes, it shows the time. And does it know the time? No, it's a machine that shows something according to how it has been built. Has an enormous amount of spirit gone into its manufacture? No, definitely yes. It needed a lot of spirit to come to such a technology, to such a machine. And does it contain an enormous amount of spirit? No. If you open it like this, you will find, such as this example here, a lot of spirit helped to come to such a construction that human beings were capable to do. But yet, there is any more spirit, there is a machine doing what the spirit of a human or many humans told to do. And now when we look at this is ChatGPT. ChatGPT, when we look at it, does it make enormously witty sentences? Oh yes, we can call that as well witty. This reflects on the question just before we asked, and I hope you had already many other more constructive exchanges, conversation with the ChatGPT. They are definitely enormously witty sentences. Does it understand it? The sentences? No, it just functions on the way as it has been built. Is there an enormous amount of wit in its production? Oh yes, the entire internet is the library of ChatGPT. Everything that in a digital way exists wherever becomes part of the ChatGPT and so is at its disposal. Now, does it contain an enormous amount of spirit as well? No. Where is then this ChatGPT? It's in the clouds. Where are these clouds? Here is a picture as an example. Thousands, 100,000s, if not millions of servers all over the world finally together built this cloud, built this ChatGPT, this huge accumulation of information. Beautiful. But Now, when we look at this mechanics of artificial intelligence, a little bit deeper, I make it fast here, but just to remind us, it is fed, it is feeded with plenty of informations, with billions of texts. And each individual word is split into tokens, usually 2 to 3 letters. This design here we had at school, numerology and geometry, I just remind you. So here we have 2 axes, Y and X. And the X is here in this example 3, and the Y-axis is 4. So the A out of this is 3 over 4 in this example. So each token is transformed into a vector. This here is then the vector. And this one has 2-dimensional, X and Y, as I said already, and they are brackets, or they are in brackets one below the other. 3 over 4, as we have it here. However, a token has 12,000 dimensions, 12,000 numbers below each other. And that builds finally this entire matrix calculation on which then the AI ChatGPT, for example, is based. And the result is back converted into words that finally can be, as it is even called, one of them, ChatGPT. So you can have a chat, a conversation with it. That's the simple functioning of it. And when we look now at the devil's preface, how does it come into an existence? So how such a machine can come to a conclusion of an answer to my previous presented question? Does it says, I would not come by force, I would disguise myself as progress, as freedom, as compassion, and then I would slowly, systematically, almost invisibly poison their thinking. Where is this coming from? Well, here is an example. For those who know this book, The Screw Tape Letters, written by C.S. Lewis. Here it's about the story how the sub-devil should lead his patient away from God and towards materialism. Such books exist nowadays in ebooks, and by the way, just to show you such a spirit like this, Mr. C.S. Lewis was the same author that also brought that story, this beautiful and even also Walt Disney story out. Yes, for even our children. And now if such information, if such spirits, such books, and many more, of course, is known for ChatGPT, it is capable to answer such a question we answered before. And you would find many, many other books about specifically on Marxism that you will find not only physically in the libraries, but finally, of course, as well existing as ebooks, so known for the AI. So we can conclude, especially when we think in the past what happened, Ahriman was almost there already. When we look in the Bolshevism time in the East, about 100 years ago, the Bolshevism doesn't exist anymore. And now we turn to the Western world, disguised as more cultural Marxism. Nowadays you call it democracy. And now the West is falling apart. We saw that in my previous video, and we have even mounted, used their advanced technology to remove artificial intelligence, time manipulation, old system and energetic residues in order to present itself only as a negative tool. So far, we come back to that in a moment. I invite you, of course, to have your experience and exchanges with tools such as ChatGPT. The revelation, the truth is coming to the light everywhere, definitely everywhere. This is the time of revelation. Every soul can decide freely again in which direction I want to go, consciously or unconsciously. And that is what we saw before. 2 timelines, many timelines, unlimited timelines of course exist, but here on Earth, 2 collective timelines have emerged and will temporarily run in a parallel until they separate completely. How long this parallel run will be, I have no idea, and the path is open again for the further development of free-spirited people. all of these free spirit people raise their consciousness from 3D to 5D, what we called, how? By shifting our consciousness. To remind us, what does it mean? In 3D, so in this 3D world, we serve matter. In 5D level, and a higher vibration, it is the other way around. Here we remember, well, matter is based on spirit, is based on mental. Everything, when you just look around you, every furniture, everything, every house, every whatever it is based on an idea. So that means in 5D we are able to create things when we need or want them. Now, lightness, by that is easiness, is not only spoken but lived in this 5D level. Much less sleep needed, or food, and so on is more needed. Why? Because we are constantly resting within ourselves, even when we are active. So we are working much more economic, more efficient, we could say. Now, the most important message about that, of course, then is we need to learn to replace judging. Because we look in the out and we say, I don't want to have this, that should be better, this should be different, and criticizing with love and acceptance. And everything is good as it is, whatever the choice of an individual soul is. Do you agree with me? We are on our golden mean, we said. We are on our golden mean when what? When no, we do not just go with the idea that everything is love and light. It has the right not to be as well. And just brain purely thinking is also not the solution. It's the thinking heartfully. The combination of the thinking electric, feeling magnetic, we work within our structure as a human being electromagnetic. And within that, we accept the situation as it is. We take full responsibility for ourselves and our life. And we are the creator of our world and decide of our own free will about our life in all facets, within all consequences. We are responsible, self-responsible for all we experience, each one in his, her individual world that each individual creates. And we are a free divine being, and order, this is not pleasing, and order that from now on this energy that can flow, that this energy can flow again in us, in everything that is. We may again adopt happiness, fullness. We may from now on and here again shape our life more happily and joyfully. I go with the idea, if you do not want to have it in this direction, you don't need anything else to listen that we are doing, and you would even anymore listen here. So where to find help? We know that in everyday life we have forgotten that we have the spiritual world which would like to help at any moment. However, there is free will, and that's why support must be asked for if help is to be claimed. And the request to the spiritual world is always followed by the help that has been asked for in many different layers, in many different ways. And those steps into the spiritual world to do, we know them, we know it. On one hand, I recommend, as said before, to engage with this AI and recognize what is spiritual and what is machine in your own thinking and of what you consume. That you acquire knowledge about the spiritual world. This is what we are doing here at the SOL Academy Palawan in the lounge twice a week. If you want to join us, or for example as well, experience for yourself that you are a part of the spiritual world and all that is giving, even if you wish to walk your authentic spiritual soul path by the tool. Many possibilities exist, endless possibilities. One of them as a free download available on the aspectcompetence.com on our webpage, where you can order the Manager of Tomorrow Now Learn and workbook in 12 tasks, free without costs. And now, however, when we come to this and we come to the beginning and we saw all this matrix evolution, this satanic third layer here that we have had, we said, is fallen. However, within that, remind, you lived in a world where you delegated a lot, and it existed for you there in this world: government, education, healthcare, economy, finance, security, and social life. And all that. Is that now gone? Is it gone? As the satanic structure is away? No. Where does it go? It goes in front of our eyes. You see it in the US. It's on its way. Everything is downsizing. It's crumbling. It's falling in the way as it has been, and it becomes digital. And that means that it has the right to continue to exist, but just within AI. Now, you who is saying that you are raising your consciousness, your vibrations, and so on, I ask you, then, where is now today this authority, this government, education, healthcare, economy, finance, the ending, finance, security, and social life? Where do you yet delegate part of your power? Who governs in your life? Just now, right now, when you listen to this, who educates in your world? Who is responsible for healing? Who manages your economy, your doings, your activities? Who ends if something has started? Finance comes from ending, from wrapping up, as just said before. Who takes care for security? Who secures? And finally, with whom are you socializing? All those questions I invite you to reflect for yourself just here and now, and in a few days will come up the second part of this resume of Ahriman that is released. For here and now, for today, I thank you that you have been here, that you follow here. I thank you for all this beautiful work that you did so far, for raising your vibrations, to raising your awareness, and by that, remembering yourself, who you are, what you are, and why you are here. I thank you so much. We hear us and see us soon. Namaste.